Welcome, rational thinkers and champions of evidence-based reasoning, to the Free of Faith podcast. This is the place where we dare to peel back the comforting but opaque layers of faith-based claims and expose their logical shortcomings. Today, we are asking a tight, practical question with big implications. When contradictions appear in the Bible, can we simply wave them away by saying, God's thoughts are not our thoughts? Let's honestly explore what that move does to inquiry, to honest conversation, and to our ability to distinguish a reliable guide from a comforting story. Picture a familiar conversation. You point out clashing statements in someone else's sacred text. The dates do not line up. The doctrines pull in opposite directions. The storyteller on the other side replies,
"Our God is above human logic, so your critique is irrelevant."
Would you not say they have handed their system a free pass before testing whether it holds together? If that defense can protect any religion, what separates rival faiths except birthplace and childhood training? That is the universal problem of inscrutability. If every tension is excused with mystery, meaningful evaluation ends. A truth-loving deity would not endorse a method that locks children inside whatever story their neighborhood promotes. Yes, some Bible tensions are resolvable, but the habit of shielding all of them by default erodes the practice of reasoning. Honest seekers let apparent contradictions move the credence needle. They do not seal them behind scrutiny-proof glass. Consider a sampling. Does the Genesis account of a boat for millions of species pass the logistics test? Ezekiel says children are not punished for a father's sins, but Exodus threatens generational punishment. Which is right? The temptation of Jesus is a private scene. Who recorded it? The tomb stories differ on visitors, timing, and angels. What is the most reasonable reconciliation? Judas hangs himself in one place, but bursts open in another. What convolution is needed to merge these? John says no one has ascended, yet Elijah certainly did. What gives? In Samuel, God commands the killing of infants. But many Christians call this a rhetorical exaggeration. There are two incompatible genealogies for Jesus. Which one tracks reality? The crucifixion hour differs between Mark and John. Which clock matters? Harmonizations do exist. Some are plausible. Many are unrealistically elaborate. The question is not whether a story can be imagined. The question is whether the explanation is straightforward and text-based, or strained and ad hoc. If a divine guide is meant to be clear for ordinary readers, it should not need to lean on speculative stitching to remain intact. 3 quick everyday analogies help. A celebrated blueprint with overlapping rooms does not inspire confidence when you are told, "Trust the genius." A machine manual that sends you in circles does not improve when customer service says, "You would not understand." A teacher's exam with clashing questions does not become fair because the teacher claims a higher logic. Mystery can be real, but incoherence defeats purpose. Here is the logical backbone. First, if an ideology swallows contradictions by invoking inscrutability, it becomes untestable, and any untestable system cannot rationally claim superiority to rivals emergent of human culture. Second, if a real God values truth, that God would not endorse indoctrination and epistemic closure. The global map of religious adherence tracks culture more than discovery. That fact justifies extreme caution. Third, apparent inconsistencies deserve sustained attention. Removing them from scrutiny with "God understands, you do not" is irrational. Fourth, any guide for humanity should be clear, especially on essentials. When core doctrines are foggy, the clarity claim weakens. Fifth, examining the core logic of a belief system is far more effective than trying to explain away each contradiction separately. Countless small fixes cannot save a worldview built on logically incoherent assumptions. Common theological replies deserve quick, fair answers. God is beyond understanding is false humility. This claim blocks the evaluation of the very God in question. Some say,
But faith transcends logic.
it doesn't. This claim works equally well for rival religions. Without coherence, any story can be crowned true by its loyalists. Many claim,
The core message is clear despite the edge cases.
but this claim fails when the edges bleed into the core. The notion of redemption is clearly not at the edges of Christianity. There is another, more insidious safety valve that insulates belief from critique. Some passages pre-label dissenters as foolish, deaf, or truth-suppressing. That framing can comfort insiders, yet it blocks good faith dialogue, since no argument from a critic can count if the critic is, by definition, flawed or broken. So, where does this leave the honest seeker? Keep all contradictions on the table, resist the temptation to bury them under mystery, and let your credence update as explanations either clarify or contort. If a text is aligned with a truth-loving deity, it will not fear the light. If a community is aligned with reality, it will welcome questions rather than pathologize them. If this conversation has sparked some questions or even some discomfort, that's a good thing. Questioning is the first step toward clarity. Don't settle for easy answers or platitudes. Dive deeper, explore further, and demand evidence. Head over to Free of Faith to read the full article and join the discussion. Let's keep this conversation going, because the pursuit of truth doesn't stop at questioning. It's about finding answers that actually make sense. Thank you for tuning in to the Free of Faith podcast, where we expose the logical failings of faith and celebrate the clarity that comes with reason. Until next time, stay skeptical, stay curious, and remember, rationality always outperforms faith. Engage reality, and I'll see you soon.